Welcome to the Future Jobs Podcast. I'm your host Fahad JobsWala, and today we are joined by a true force in leadership development, Steve Steele. Steve is an executive coach, speaker, and trainer certified by Maxwell Leadership and co-host of the Leaders Edge show. With a background in systems integration, financial operations, and B2B tech leadership, he's helped leaders design lives with intention, master transitions, and sharpen performance. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Fahad. Thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
It's wonderful to be here with you and to finally record this podcast with you one to one because we had one. If you remember, we had Ernie and you, both of you, and you were sometime Ernie was answering to the questions, sometime you were. So that was a great time as well.
Mhm.
So finally, we are
Yeah.
here and I'm here especially to inspire my listeners by your amazing life journey. So, Steve, could you tell us what is your story?
Yes, thank you, Fahad. Greatly appreciate you being here, and thank you so much for your kindness and allowing me to be here and on your show with you. A little bit about my story. Well, I grew up as an Air Force brat. Now, do you know what an Air Force brat is? An Air Force brat is a child who's grown up in the Air Force or the military with their parents. My dad was in the Air Force. He was in the Air Force for over 20 years. And so as a child, I grew up in the Air Force with him all the way till I was about 17 years old. So he was in the military for 20 years. And I had a wonderful childhood. I mean, my dad was um, a, a great military man, and he loved being in the military. However, uh, we had to move a lot. So, every couple of years we were moving. So I didn't have a stable childhood and being able to make friends or be able to uh, see people for very long periods of time because I was always moving to the next available Air Force base that we had to go to. And I remember as a child being so many times moving. By the time I was in junior high, I had changed six schools by the time I was in junior high school. And by the time I was in high school, I remember my last place in high school, I was there, I guess it was about my eighth time that I had been in a different school in my childhood. So I didn't make a lot of friends and I didn't keep friends very much, but I had a good family. But one of the greatest things that my dad did for my brother and myself was the fact that he loved history and he loved the Civil War history of the United States. So when we were traveling all over the country, and we had to be in the back seat of the car, I mean, we'd be hours and hours and hours traveling to the next place we were going to live. When we would stop at every battlefield in the country that had to do with Civil War. Gettysburg, Harper's Ferry, Antietam, all of those we stopped at. And I remember as a child just sitting on those battlefields, watching and thinking in my own, dreaming about, wow, what really took place here. And sometimes there were reenactments that were taking place. But that was one of the greatest things I remember about my childhood and my dad. But when I went to college, it shifted. And let me tell you what shifted. My parents, first being in the military, dad was in aviation. He loved it. I liked aviation, but I didn't want to do it. But they wanted me to be in aviation. My mom wanted me to be in aviation. They wanted me to either be a pilot or they wanted me to be some kind of military, but I didn't want to do that. But I did do the first semester of school, went exactly what they wanted me to do and headed that way. But when I got to school, I really realized that I didn't want to do that. I wanted to study music. I didn't want to be in aviation. I wanted to study music and I wanted to be um, in the ministry to help people. That's what I wanted to do. Well, being a military man, Dad was always growing up stern. He was a stern man, and I feared I feared everything about Dad. When I got in trouble, it was not a good time. But so when I went back to school or back home after that first semester, I dreaded telling them that I changed my major. I dreaded it because I didn't want to tell them. So I went home and I got my parents alone in the kitchen. Actually, we were actually in the living room. And I told Dad, I said, Dad, I said, I don't want to be in aviation. I don't want to be military. I want to be in ministry. I want to study music. And Mom began to cry. And Dad just kind of looked at me in this really stern type of look. They didn't say a word. He grabbed my mom's hand and they went into the kitchen and talked. Now, they left me in the living room, right? I'm all by myself. I'm freaking out, thinking, what are they thinking? What are they saying? And I'm freaking out. So they're in there talking. Finally, they come back after about 10, 15 minutes. They come back. And I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, Steve, he said, I didn't spend 20 years of my life taking and defending this country. My family didn't, my brothers and sisters didn't spend their entire lives defending this country without giving you the freedom to make a choice. He said, if you want to be in ministry and to study music, that's what you should do. And he says, I just want you to make me one promise. Just make me one promise. I said, okay, Dad. I mean, I wasn't expecting this. And so, I'm like, I'm freaking out. I'm thinking I'm going to get scolded. But he tells me, he make me one promise. Okay. He said, whatever you do, jump as high as you can, and I will forever be your net. And I went, oh, wow, Dad. That was incredible. He was going to be there for me no matter what. So, what I want to talk about a little bit today is really leaping toward that success. There's basically three things I can share with you in a quick minute that will help people achieve their highest potential. And so, if you want to leap for success in your life, three core strategies that help you achieve to your highest potential. One of those is perspective. Now, a lot of times when we get in situations, and we are in a situation where we have a problem, we're trying to solve a problem, and we don't know how to figure it out. And sometimes they're deep, dark, hard problems. I've been there. They're difficult. Recognizing that problem often feels unsolvable due to our narrow viewpoints. You see, oftentimes we get stuck in what I call a silo mentality. That means we get stuck in our own head. How do we figure this out? What do we do? We recognize that problem is unsolvable because our narrow thinking. We can't think through it. We can't think past it. So what do we do? What do we do in a situation like that? The importance of what we do is to really seek help and gain new insights. Now, the key takeaway to this is that perspective is actually power. And when I say perspective, I'm saying get in a situation where you have collaboration, where people are around you and you can talk through the issue, you can talk through the problem. Here's the thing, you can't solve a problem with the same mind that you created the problem with. Does that make sense? So, what you have to do is you have to get in a situation where you can collaborate with people, talk to people, help them to understand your problem, let them help you solve your problem, because that's where solutions come from. Solutions come from people, not just yourself, but other people's ideas, other people's perspective, gaining clarity on a work project by engaging maybe your colleagues or broadening your perspective to unlock hidden solutions that you never knew were there because your silo mentality wouldn't allow you to go there in your brain. We often don't, there's actually two sides of your brain that work. And one side is your left hemisphere, which is all of your anxiety and stress and all those that talks to you all the time. It's your inner talk. And then you have the right side of your brain, which is your area of clarity, which is your area of creativity. And the cool thing about that is they cannot occupy the same space. So if you're creative, the left hemisphere of your brain, the anxiety part of your brain, the stress part of your brain cannot be in the same space as the creativity part. So you get other people involved and you start creating solutions. And it becomes slow, but you still stick at it and you work at it. That's number one is perspective. That's one. Number two is the concept of influence. Now, John Maxwell teaches, and he's a mentor of mine, teaches that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. It's your ability to influence people. Now, I want to tell you a secret here, and this is good for your age and for your age group, but the greatest skill that you could ever achieve in your life is your ability to persuade and influence other people. You see, you can have anything in your life if you have the capability of persuading and influencing those people. Anything you want is at your disposal. That's your greatest skill you could ever achieve. But when you're in a situation, if you want to leap to success, you have to surround yourself with people that are going to help you get to the things you want to get. So the concept here is you're a reflection, Fahad, of the top 5 people you spend time with. That's who you're reflected by. So assessing your current relationships, does that really shape your future self? And you have to ask yourself that question. The top 5 people I'm around, do they help shape my future self? Do I want to be where I want to go? If I want to be a person that wants to be an artist, am I going to hang around with people that play basketball all the time? Well, if you want to be a basketball artist, I guess you could. But I mean, if you want to be a basketball player and you want to be a good basketball player, then you would spend time with people who would teach you how to be a good basketball player. You'd spend time with people who are going to teach you to be a great artist. You spend time with people who want to teach you to be a great musician, right? So you are a reflection of the top 5 people you spend time with. And that selection of those people have to be intentional. They have to be on purpose. You have to go seek those people out. So if you want to become a future and do the things that you want to do in your life and you have an idea of what you want to do, you have to spend time with those kind of people to achieve those kind of things, or you'll never achieve them. So you have to spend. Now, here's another thing too. What if you have people in your life that's not helping your purpose? What if you have people in your life that's not really doing well? And you know that, hey, I may have to replace that individual. Doesn't mean you have to discard them, but you might have to replace that person of influence in your life so that you can have room to achieve the things you want to achieve. Choosing mentors or friends with that kind of desired attributes that you want. The importance of both professional and personal relationships. Those are all part of it. So consciously choose associations to shape and believe your skills. That's who you want to be with. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to spend time with those people. So number one was perspective, trying not to have a silo mentality, but having collaborative solutions with other people. And the second one was influence. You're a reflection of the top 5 people you spend time with. And there's a third one. And this is a biggie. The third one is beliefs. Acknowledging that inevitably you're going to face challenges. And you are. Every one of us do. The importance of believing in the possibility of achieving goals. You see, here's the thing. Belief is the action. Excuse me. Belief is the driver of your actions, right? So if you really believe that you can achieve something, it's going to be the thing that's going to drive you. Belief as a driver of action. It's going to be that thing that's going to help you move to take action. So I think I can do it. I can believe I can do it. I'm going to take action on that. Persistence is another thing. Persistence is in adversity is fueled by belief. So persistence is fueled by that belief. So you move forward and you continue to stay consistent on it and persistent on it. So the key takeaway here is overcoming challenges is through belief. Now, let's look at it this way. Let me tell you a short story. When I was 24 years old, I was a youth pastor, a musician, and I was taking kids to youth camp. Actually, we were going to youth camp, um, and there's about 46 senior high students. They were all in their, I guess, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. And we were going to Colorado. We were leaving here from Texas and going to Colorado to youth camp. And we were on a big school bus. And we were getting, early that morning, we were getting gas and we filled up with gas and we were going down the highway and the bus flipped over and it slid down a mountain on the highway about 150 yards and it caught fire. It was a pretty traumatic situation. Luggage was thrown all over the highway because we were carrying a big trailer behind us with luggage in it, and it was thrown all over the highway. People were stopping. There was just chaos everywhere. It was unimaginable. And so when the bus had finally come to rest, I kind of exited out toward the front of the bus through a window. It popped out of the main window of the front of the bus, and I got out that way and walked around to the very back of the bus. And the door on the bus had popped off like a hinge, right? And so they were trying to get people out of there, kids trying to come out left and right. I was just pulling bodies out as fast as I could, as fast as I could, as fast as I could, because the front part of the bus was on fire. The engine part was on fire, and we just filled up for gas, and it was laying on its side. So you can imagine the gas was probably pouring out all up underneath it. And so I was just pulling kids out as fast as I could. That's good. And I looked in there and I thought we had everybody out. And I'm looking toward the very front and I see this at the very front of the bus, this head pop up. And everybody started screaming to come this way, come this way. They weren't so they got up and they started to take a step and they passed out. So I went inside the bus, walked along the edges of the windows, and I can remember there was like 12 windows on each side of the bus. And I remember walking along on the windows one at a time, watching blue flames underneath the windows because I could see the gas had seeped out and it caught fire up underneath the bus. Fortunately, the windows were rolled up because we were in Colorado. It was a very cool morning. So the kids had rolled all those windows up. So we're walking through that and I'm watching it, kind of walking. If you think about the bus being on its side, you don't have an aisleway. You're climbing over seats and you're walking on the edge of the ceiling around close to the windows, right? And you're holding on with I was on my right side, so I'm holding on with trying to make my way window by window, seat by seat, all the way up to that first person. Finally reached them and grabbed them and start pulling them just over every seat. Didn't matter. I was trying to get them out as fast as I could, try to get them out as fast as I could. Finally got to the very back and the person came out of we came out of the bus and it wasn't 4 or 5 seconds later, the bus just went up like a notch, just like a notch just went up. And I was so thankful, but I didn't know, I honestly didn't know if we had everybody out. There was a time there when people were trying to count the number of people and we were getting different numbers. And it was just, I didn't know because it was too late by then. But there was many people said, well, oh, man, Pastor Steve, you were a hero. You got that person out. You saved those kids. And I wasn't a hero, Fahad. I was the bus driver. I said all of that to tell you one thing. When I was walking along the edge of that, I remember counting step by step by step those windows and watching those blue flames, knowing I didn't have a lot of time, but taking it step by step by step by step, reaching that person, ultimately dragging them out and pulling them out. The reason that I share that story is because you can't see your goals from step one. I mean, from step, let's say this way, you can't see your goals from step 33. You see your goals starting at step one, and you move to the next step, and then to the next. You cannot see step 32 from step zero or step one. Your goal being 32, 33, or your final goal. You can't see your goal from step one or step two. The whole point of this is that you have to take one step at a time. And each step is a newer belief and a stronger belief. And the significance of taking that first step toward the goals inspires others to achieve the same seemingly impossible thing. So, number one was perspective, knowing to understand the limits of the silo mentality and collaborating with people to achieve your solutions, because that's where solutions are found. Number two is influence. You are a reflection of the top 5 people that you spend time with in your life. And number three, knowing your beliefs. Knowing it beliefs are one step at a time. And it may take you time, but if you would take it one step at a time, you'll achieve your goals. So that's what I call 3 strategies to achieving your highest potential. Gain that perspective, know those influences in your life, and believe in yourself one step at a time.
Wonderful. Steve, the like I didn't expect that. This I would say this episode is a golden, or what would we say? It's very informative and very important for the young generation, for the young, you know, people, for the and mostly uh the people who are in my age, they used to watch my podcast. So this is really wonderful. 3 steps to get even more closer to your success. Is number one, perspective, number two, influence, and number three, belief. That is such a wonderful thing. Um, I would say, Steve. So, you teach leaders to live by design, not by default. What does this
Exactly.
mindset shift look like in day-to-day action?
It's intentional. It's on purpose. You just don't let it happen. You see, you can't, intentionality is not just letting something happen. Intentionality is going on purpose. So if you want to be a leader and you want to be a strong leader, you have to intentionally grow yourself to that leadership. You see, your leadership growth will never supersede your personal growth. The personal growth has to grow even higher. And so you have to be intentional about that. There's been lots of times, Sahad, I've talked to people and I said, we'll be talking, we'll be talking about, leadership or something. And I'll say something that, what are you doing about your personal growth? And then give this funny look at me. And what do you mean by personal growth? Well, what are you intentionally doing to grow yourself personally? And John Maxwell puts out an amazing book called The 15 Valuable Laws of Growth. And there's 15 laws in that growth that help you. And one of them is intentionality that help you grow to the next level. It has to be intentional. You cannot do it just by happenstance. You have to be very intentional and that's the design of being a great leader, is being intentional about it. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, absolutely, Steve. If you were designing next gen leadership training, what would be non-negotiables in this curriculum?
Yeah, I can tell you that right away. Consistency. You see, consistency is a powerful, powerful tool in your life. If you stay consistent at something, the only way you get better at something is if you do it over and over and over and over and over and over again. You see, over time, when you do that, it compounds. So consistency compounds over a period of time, and you get very, very good at what you're doing. When Ernie and I started the Leader's Edge, we had no clue. We had no clue at all how to do a radio show. Never done a radio show. Never been. I've been on one radio show when I had that bus accident. I was on the radio the next day about that, but I've only been on one radio show. I didn't know anything about it. So we had to learn it, and we had to be very consistent on it every single day. And we studied it, and we listened to other podcasts, we listened to other radio shows to see what they did, and we tried to emulate some of the things that we learned, and put those parts in our show. We became ourselves, we became real to the show, and we did it over and over. I mean, there's hours and hours and hours we had spent selecting music just to be on the show, hours and hours of selecting voiceovers to be on the show. We didn't have a clue who our professional voiceovers would be, but we had to select them, and we spent time, but we were consistent, and we did over a period of time. So I would say to any young leader out there that wants to be a great leader, consistency is a major part of what you need to do to be a great leader. Never underestimate the compounding effect of consistency. It compounds over time, and you get better and better and better.
Exactly. It's really wonderful. So, like Steve, there's a one question. Your podcast is called the Leadership Age Show, right? So, and the most of your points are on the leadership as well. Like the three main important things you just told about: perspective, influence, and believe. If we round all those three things, so it somehow it shapes leadership, and it can be very um important for leadership as well. So why did you chose the leadership age for your podcast, and why
Oh,
wasn't there
good.
any other thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. So when we started out, Ernie and I started out with a webinar. We did a webinar at the very, very beginning. We weren't even a radio show host yet, but we started out as a webinar, and the we did that for about 3 or 4 months, and then we got a call from the network that wanted to put us on the air, and we decided we would do that. And once we got that going, we got the ball rolling with the radio show. But it all started with the webinar. And the name of the webinar was Your Path to Personal and Leadership Growth with Steve and Ernie. So when we came to the idea of what are we going to name the radio show, it came to me one morning. Ernie and I were, I mean, we collaborated with friends. We did. We talked about it with friends, and we needed a radio show name, help us out, tell us what you think. And we were getting all these kind of names out there, uh, you know. But one morning I got up and I was just pondering over the name of the show. And I realized that to be a great leader, you had to, and I said it a minute ago, you had to have really strong personal growth in your life. You see, the edge to leadership is the personal growth. That's the edge to the leadership. So that's why we called it the leader's edge, because personal growth that you learn in your life gives you an edge to your leadership growth. So that's why we called it the leader's edge.
That's really wonderful. And I can say, very sure that this podcast can be very, very important and very informative for all those people who are struggling in leadership, who really wants to learn about leadership, how we can become a great leader, because 80% of your points and 80% of this conversation is based on leadership. So that
Yeah,
is really wonderful. Thank you so much, Steve Steele,
my
for
pleasure.
turning on, for giving me a precious time. When I did the podcast with Ernie, and I didn't know you are coming, as well with the Ernie. So at that time, I just mark you in my mind as a guest, and I thought you will be definitely the next guest on my podcast, and I will definitely take you as a guest, and this happened. I'm very um, grateful to you for your time, for turning on.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Fahad.
much. And thanks, guys, for watching this podcast. If you like it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to like and share my episodes. So thank you so much. Inshallah, meet you soon with
Thank
an
you.
amazing podcast with an amazing guest. Till then, stay peace and take care of yourself. Goodbye.